you're just that type of person where to be able to catch and understand your humor, you just have to be near you.
You just be like overall good at every attribute. But then if you get creative with it, that's a whole other, it's more of like an attractive sight for me.
I think more people, and especially right now, have to participate in things that they could potentially lose at.
We put our own little spice into it. You know, we designed it how we liked it. It was all black. The machines that we liked. We played the music that we liked. We played a lot of reggaeton. And
But it sounds like you guys have a lot of accountability too. Like while you use each other and function as a team, at the same time, you both have this responsibility of like, I'm going to show up at my very best regardless, but if I absolutely need a 25% from him or her, I'm going to mention it. What are some of those things that you're a little bit maybe nervous about because you care, right? Because you want it to go so well. What are some of those things that go through your mind?
so as for getting married,
I think one of the things that I've always thought about you that is just so fascinating to me is your humor. And as I was thinking about how I wanted it, the direction I wanted to take, I was like, I have to just dive into where that comes from.
Yeah.
Your humor, right? And I was actually strolling on your page and I was looking, there's a bunch of posts of yours that over the years have made me laugh so hard. And there was one that I remember where you're literally riding a horse and you said man's best friend in the cat.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because you remind me of a couple of other friends that I have, but you're just that type of person where to be able to catch and understand your humor, you just have to be near you.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a room with a bunch of people, like you just got to be near Chris and just catch what he says. Just
Right.
Just the wittiness that you have and the remarks that you have are hilarious to me. And so the first thing I want to ask is just like, I'm curious of your dynamic growing up. Like, what was it like with your siblings, maybe your friends at school, dynamic with your parents? Like, what type of kid were you? How'd you grow up?
Honestly, I was a little more quiet. I kind of grew up a little more introverted, but I mean, kind of like in the middle. I'd say maybe like 75% towards introverted side, 25% extroverted. And then, I don't know, I always had jokes. I always crack jokes. My comedy is just, I'm glad you get it because a lot of people, it depends who I'm with. But a lot of times when I say jokes, it like kind of like goes over people's head, and I'm like, damn, right? Yeah, maybe I gotta sneak another one in there later on. But how'd you get that?
They didn't catch that one.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. Luckily, so another one of my friends, Pat, who I think you may or may not have met, but he's on the podcast with me frequently doing book reviews, and he has very similar humor to you. Angel, Angel obviously has very similar humor to you. So whenever I run into someone who has similar humor, I just I get it off the bat, and Pat was one of those. And I even see it in your marketing sometimes, which I think is really dope, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what about some of the things that you just looked up to? Like, who were some of the people that when you were either growing up on the internet through maybe not so much on social media, maybe at the time through like magazines or movies or whatever the case might be? What were some of the people that you looked up to?
So growing up, when I was younger, at least I'd say before high school, I honestly didn't really have many people I looked up to outside of sports. So I always played soccer my whole life. I'd say pretty much anyone, if you're familiar with soccer, anyone that played at Real Madrid.
Okay.
So that could be like Zidane or Beckham, Roberto Carlos, like these, mostly Brazilian, honestly. Most of these Brazilian soccer players, they were just, they're crazy with the ball. Like if you're from Brazil, then your technique is a lot different than everyone else in the world. So I'd say mostly these people from just like soccer athletes. So David Beckham, I don't know if I said Beckham.
Yeah.
His documentary came out, and like rewatching that is nostalgic for me, honestly. Like I was a huge fan of his. And then he actually came over here to Soldier Field. So Soldier Field, not this one over here.
Not the one that's right behind us at Arlington.
I don't know if you want people to know, but
it's all good. Right by Arlington Park, old Arlington Park track, but soon to be, I don't even know if they'll call it Soldier Field, but yeah.
But yeah, David Beckham, he came here, I saw him, and it is magical. Like, we went for the actual game. The day before that, I remember it was a weekday, we went to the museum, and then we went right to the game after. It was a practice.
Okay.
So all the people from Real Madrid, they came out, I forget who they played, but I mean, they dominated. I think it might have been like MLS All-Stars. But just seeing everyone, like, at this time, everyone had like a brick phone. Everyone's recording like a camcorder, and just like he's just standing there, just like waving at everyone, and
that's superstar presence about him.
Yeah, just whatever room he walked into, everyone was just like eyes glued on this dude.
Yeah.
So that was huge. That was someone I looked up to for sure.
I think that's important too, like to the superstar effect, how you mentioned, like the type of phones and stuff that we had at the time. I feel like now with social media, there's not as much of that like stardom power when people walk into a room. I think it's still there, but just a different time when we grew up on that. It's like there was really like this, you know, you never want to compare anyone to God, but there was like this like God effect of just like this person is just like in another universe. So super interesting. But so you mentioned Brazilians, how they play soccer and they're, you know, they have a different technique of ball handling.
Yeah.
Are those some of the things that you look out for whenever you're inspired by someone? Is it just like the craftsmanship of what they do? Like what do you really look for? Like what is it exactly? Or is it just the way that they, you know, sell a vision, or is it just more on like the technique side?
I'd say the technique is huge. Technique is huge. No matter what it is in life, you can be really good at it, and you can just be like overall good at every attribute. But then if you get creative with it, that's a whole nother. It's more of like an attractive sight for me, you know, just to see. You know, it can be something as simple as like let's use soccer for example.
Yeah,
someone can be really fast, have a really good shot, but then if you get another player like Ronaldinho, I don't know if you're familiar with so he is like he dances almost on the field. You know, no one can stop him. People still name him today as like one of the most creative players out there. You know, if you mention Ronaldinho, like he's in a bracket of his own. So that can be translated into any other aspect in your life as well. So I think you mentioning how my posts on Instagram over the past couple of years are a little bit creative, a little bit almost like more comedy,
outside of the box.
Right. That actually might, now that you say it, I didn't even put this together previously, but now that you say that, that might be kind of like where it all like stemmed out from, you know, that creativity side.
You wanted to take a deeper, because it's true. Like when I look at your content and how you draw awareness and attention to build body fitness, it's not just your typical talking about, you know, you still talk about all those things, but nutrition and fitness, you're not talking about it in the same way that everybody else does.
Right.
You do something interesting to draw attention to it.
Right.
And so that's something that I've always admired. So it doesn't shock me to hear that from a soccer perspective, the people you looked up to, it was a craftsmanship that really stood out to you. What about fitness? How did that journey, I mean, obviously you grew up an athlete, right? What sports did you play? But and then coming out of sports, how did that fitness journey start for you?
So I played soccer like my whole life, only soccer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nothing else. Yeah, just soccer. And it's funny because I've always had like a naturally bigger build. So I remember in high school, I was, we had like a weightlifting gym class. And the coach or the teacher for the gym class, he was the head coach of the varsity football team. And I remember we were doing like, I don't know, like a bench press or something. And he's asking me like, why don't you play football? The reason why is because I literally just played like the same season, you know, soccer over, like for me, soccer over football, like any day.
Yeah.
So just playing soccer my whole life. And then towards the end of high school, a little bit of social hour too for me and my friends. You know, we go to the gym even outside of school. That's when it all started for me. I started lifting, I want to say my senior year of high school. But at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of going to the gym for 2 hours with my friends, and we were just messing around. And we got some lifts, and I made some progress. But I made like 10% of the progress I should have made. But I mean, just having fun with it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the journey too, right? Like you're able to look back on it now and say that like you were messing around, but at the time, I mean, you were probably doing some pretty special things in there and like really attracted to it, right? That's obviously why you dedicated your life to it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it was 2018, right? You competed, you did a bodybuilding competition, and so what was that like? What would you say? And walk us through the journey of that. But in addition to that, what was the hardest thing about it? Because I know it's not easy. You came out looking like that. How did you move?
No way. It was not easy. Yeah, it was 6 years ago. So the hardest part is undoubtedly the nutrition, making sure you stay on your diet. And honestly, the feeling is just exactly how you would imagine. It was, I feel like, people make jokes about this all the time. Like, in high school, I used to be able to do this. Or like, when I was younger, I was able to do this. But like, this was 6 years ago, and then that was like the best shape I've been in. So the nutrition was the hardest part for sure, especially this was a summertime event. So living half hour away from the city and being, everyone's saying like, you want to go to brunch, you want to get some drinks, you want to, just be in Chicago.
I mean, summertime shot.
Right, exactly. It was hard, man, but there's I think it was huge. The biggest thing from that show, just putting myself through that process and knowing exactly how far I can go, take my body, is something that I'm never going to forget. The nutrition was the biggest hurdle for me, for sure. Are you familiar with Asheville?
Yeah,
the best burger in Chicago.
Oh God,
bro. So there's this one time specifically, I might have been like 2 or 3 weeks out, and Ciara, she had her cousins from Colombia in town, so we wanted to take them to see the best restaurants in the city.
Gotta take them to Asheville.
Exactly. So we went there, and me being a couple weeks out of the show, this line, you have to wait 4 hours in this line, or put your name down to wait 4 hours, and that's when you get set. Everyone had a big juicy burger with a fried egg, 2 strips of bacon on it, and I had I think it was a Caesar salad.
Those strips of bacon, Caesar salad, those are great.
I had a Caesar salad with no Caesar dressing.
And you just watched everyone chow down that burger. And they're all just
they loved
teasing you. They're all messing with you. Like,
they love the man
burger. So
I can't blame them. I mean, fitness is big. It's good to be healthy and it's good to be on track with everything. But at the same time, you don't want to take it too far to that level where you're going to miss out on other opportunities, whether it's an outing. You know, her family from Colombia, they may have not come back for a long time, so I don't want to miss that.
You got to make it work.
Exactly.
Or another too.
Exactly.
I think that's so important too in fitness. Like, at least for me, like, I know obviously in that journey you had to count macros and all that good stuff, I'm sure. But for me, I could never do that because I was like, I need to make it something that's going to be easy for me to make it a lifestyle.
Right.
Easy for me to not miss out on things like that. And so if I was competing, I'm sure I would have done the same thing as you, but I couldn't make decisions like that. I have to have that freedom to be able to do that. But no, I think that's awesome that you competed into that show, because I think more people, and especially right now, have to participate in things that they could potentially lose at. Cody Sanchez, for example, she went and watched her husband compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament the other day, and he lost. And she was like, I'm so inspired by that, the fact that he was able to go and do something that was tough and now come out of that not a winner, and then just all the experience that you gain from that. I think it's just so important. It sounds cliche, right? But Michael Jordan talked about that a lot, about how losing is what ended up making him a winner.
Right.
And so that's something right now, I'm kind of in that frame of mind right now where I'm like, what can I compete in more that's going to require me to work really hard at it, but not come out on top in the end? Because I think it's just like, it's callous for your mind, right? It's callous for your work ethic and all those things. So
absolutely,
I respect the hell out of you for doing it, man. That's tough. Looking back on that journey, so I'm at that time, and I remember watching yourself and TR posting stories and stuff, and you guys are out there all that weekend. Like, it was super exciting for me because, like, I watched Christian Guzman on social media and things like that. And so I remember you guys went to like the Alpha League gym. You got to Christian Guzman. I remember taking a photo with him. You guys were with a bunch of other competitors and stuff like that. So when you look back on that trip, what do you think that did for the rest of your journey?
I think it really opened my eyes. This whole trip that we took, it was cool because it was the first weekend that they had, the first summer shredding event they had. So now they have them like, I don't know, I want to say like 2-3 times a year. You know, they're already on like their 5th or 6th year. But their first year having it, it was a lot smaller, so it was a lot more intimate. And what was cool about it is that these people that are watched from around the whole entire world, they see them in person, they're working out with them in the same gym. You know, I remember Christian's doing like, I don't know, like a set of like bicep curls with the barbell, and everyone's just like watching him, like, you know, they pull out their phone, and then that's all these influencers that were there, and that was like the first at first glance. So everyone's just watching them. A couple of days later, you know, everyone's still at the gym, everyone's there for the whole weekend, and it's kind of cool to see that they're like normal people. You know, they're just, I don't want to say like average people, because they're obviously they excel in everything that they do. You know, they're experienced in what they do. They're really knowledgeable. They're professionals, pretty much. But behind all that, they're honestly just normal people. Yeah,
there's someone who experienced emotions, fears, stress, trials and tribulations the way that the rest of us do. And so that's why I asked the question, because I feel like, and I know you guys had these aspirations prior to that trip, but did it make Build Body Fitness and opening it in the summer of 2021, did it make it that much more tangible as a goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Leaving that weekend, it just lit a fire under our ass, dude. It was so motivating. Seeing so many people, like what I thought I did with my nutrition, I thought I was like, like I thought I was, I don't know if I can swear, I thought I was hot shit.
Yeah.
So going there, I didn't do good at all, and see all these other people that are even younger than me, bringing a better physique than me, and then they're just all having fun and they're pacing way better. It honestly lit a fire in my ass and, motivated the hell out of me.
Yeah. And then a couple, couple short years later, you guys ended up opening up Built Body Fitness for the first time in 2021. So what did it feel like for yourself personally, right? What did it feel like for yourself to be a co-gym owner at that time?
It felt amazing, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, we got videos, but just putting our key in the door, open the door, it was a small space, and I mean, we're super happy with it. It was only 800 square feet. So, I mean, it was tiny, but I mean, we made it work. We put our own little spice into it. We designed it how we liked it. It was all black. The machines that we liked. We played the music that we liked. We played a lot of reggaeton, and it was cool.
Created a culture.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where it all started.
So Mindset Manual right here, Corey Gregory, I'm sure you know who he is. He was the co-founder of Muscle Farm. Yeah. And then I forget the name of his gym off the top of my head, but he started with a tiny space as well, man. Yeah. Very tiny space. There's many people who do, and
right.
You guys are in a much larger space now, so talk a little bit about that. But I think it's important to, obviously, some people will be able to start in at different points, but I think it's so important to your guys' journey that you guys did start there, right? Yeah. And just that you did start in general, right? So what was what do you think was the toughest part about that first season of opening the gym? What were some of the things that maybe you struggled with?
I think that the strongest or the toughest part was, I think, just getting the members in, because it was kind of a leap of faith. So Tiara, she started training at a CrossFit gym. She rented out a space, and she had a good amount of clients there, but eventually she needed a bigger space. Myself, I was training just like a handful of people out of my garage. I had like a little garage setup.
It's a nice garage setup, I remember.
Yeah, super small. Honestly, the bare essentials, just a squat rack, barbell, dumbbells up to like 40 pounds, I think. Nothing heavy. And then on top of that, it was right in the middle of COVID. So we thought about getting something a little bigger. We literally brought a tape measure to see, all right, if we put a squat rack right over here on this wall, then we leave like another foot over here, then we could put like a dumbbell rack over here. We can get like a combo squat, a leg press and a hack squat combo machine just to save on the footprint. But I mean, we were like back and forth before getting a bigger space or getting a smaller space, and then honestly the smaller space worked out. And I think that was the biggest hurdle, making sure we're making the right decision, not second guessing ourselves. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, taking the risk, but also measuring,
correct,
figuratively and literally measuring to make sure that it was
exactly. Yeah.
I think that's so important that you mentioned that, because a lot of folks who want to be an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, they want to be a leader, they want to start something. Sometimes they just don't know how to start, where to start, and sometimes they're not able to really make that leap of faith because they just don't know. So right there, you just gave people a key, right? You guys literally went and measured the space to see what can we fit and what can we do with what we fit, right? What are some of those other things that maybe to you seems like, yeah, of course we were just doing that because we were trying to figure it out, but I think to a lot of people, it isn't so simple as understanding we need to go measure and figure out what we can do here. What are some of those other things that you think that maybe you guys did early on to make sure that it was going to be a good decision?
I think just the biggest thing was making sure that financially we were able to do everything. Because if we had a bigger space, even if we went 100 square feet bigger, then the rent would have been, not 100 feet worth of rent. It'd be, I don't want to say double, but I mean, it'd be a good amount more. So that was, one of the biggest additional things on top of the space and making sure everything fits in there. And honestly, just, we never, opened up a gym before, so it was all brand new to us.
Just figuring it out as we go.
Right. We had our personal gym in the garage, but like I said, it was just the bare essentials. And then, we didn't know too much about like the regulations or, code or.
Did you run into some hurdles there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What was the toughest one?
So we actually had an office. So our spot, I told you earlier, was just under 800 square feet. So this thing is tiny. The previous place I was there was a nail salon. So they had a little office in the corner. And then we thought it'd be fine. It'd be cool if we had a desk, and then we had like, a computer over there. We can keep all of our files there. Maybe like a month into opening, we just had to like, all right, so this is like a 3/4 wall. I'm gonna illustrate this.
Yeah,
3/4 wall. All right, so it wasn't all the way to the ceiling. So what we did is we literally cleared it from the bottom, from the floor, and then we tried to lift up the wall and then just push it down.
Wow.
So we literally just moved it down. It was held down by like I don't know, maybe like.
You guys wanted to be like more accessible to everybody in the gym, but still have an office space? Is that what
Yeah, we wanted to originally have an office for us, but we were running out of space. So behind the office, there was maybe like, I don't know, like a foot little walk space that they used to keep like their shovel in there and then like, extra tools or whatever maybe. And then we wanted to move the office, get that extra foot space for the gym floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we took out these little screws that were in the bottom holding a wall, the ground. And we literally moved. I remember we did this at like midnight, so we didn't want our neighbors to hear anything. We'd like try to like close up the windows so no one would see it.
So you guys, you may have been breaking some rules.
Oh, we 100% knew we're not supposed to do this. But yeah, we moved it over about a foot all the way to the wall to maximize our space. And maybe a month later after that, we ended up just tearing down the whole office. So all that was kind of a waste, essentially. But we eventually opened up the whole entire gym. Made it the gym floor.
Okay.
So.
Did you guys run into any sorry, sometimes I get like during the show I like freak out and think I didn't hit record, but I did. I just had this be randomly. Did you guys run into anything as far as an inspector coming through and be like, oh, you thought you can do that? No, you can't do that. You got to do this. No,
not at all.
Wow.
We got an inspection before we opened, but besides that, nothing at all.
Wow, that's a blessing because that hasn't been the case for a lot of people.
Yeah,
some things. So
yeah, it can be a headache.
Yeah.
So we got lucky.
Okay, that's awesome. So right now, what would you say, or even that, right? Because it's probably been something that's true to your culture and who you guys are. What do you think the biggest thing that people love about who Built Body Fitness is? Just, and Chris and Tiara, what, like you two as a brand, Built Body Fitness as a brand, what really separates you that you think is what people love and are attracted to?
So it depends. It depends if you are looking at people that follow us on social media, or people that kind of just walk into the gym that like live in the area or, have never seen us before. They don't really know what they're walking into.
So let's talk about the content first. Online, what do you think keeps people really engaged?
I just think that we are able to keep a relationship and kind of portray ourselves online. So the way that you see us online, that's exactly how we are in person. We're not really, have a front up. We don't really portray to be a different person. Literally what you see online is what we are in person.
Yeah.
It might be a little more goofy, like once we get a little comfortable for you, but
yeah,
I think that's what makes people feel comfortable around us initially. As for people that are just on the street that are, driving by and see our sign, walk in, I think that we don't really specialize in cardio. So I don't want to name any other gyms, but if you go to like a gym or like a boot camp style, like class setting, we don't really have people do burpees or, we don't have people do sprints if they're not able to, we don't have like a cookie cutter program for every single person. So that alone is something that separates us initially.
Yeah, that's key because if you're not cookie cutter, that means that every single person that walks in there is getting something specialized that's specific to them.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool because we have our app that has our workout for everyone for the whole week. Right. So you're able to see which movement you have, and then you're able to record how many reps you get, how much weight you get, and you're able to record it. It's almost like having a notebook there.
Wow.
But you don't have to, carry around a notebook and, write with a paper and pencil.
Yeah. I've seen people at the gym doing that.
Yeah. That's like
great that you don't have to.
It's like 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole idea is awesome. So if you are someone that does do that, then keep it up. But now we're able to do it on our phone. So that alone is something that separates us as well.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we like to specialize in progressive overload, which is kind of knowing exactly what weight and what reps you're at for a certain movement, and then coming back the next week and then doing better.
Okay.
So I always use the analogy for everyone. If you're trying to get to a destination without a map, then you might get there, but I mean, it's going to take you way longer. So you want that direct line to your goal. And then that's essentially what we do.
You're giving them the answers to the test.
Right.
Instead of just walking in trying to figure out where you're going to go.
Yeah.
They have a roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really love that about you guys. I mean, a couple of things that you said there. Number one, you guys are super authentic. Like I truly enjoy watching your content, not just the posts that you make, but the stories that you guys have, because I know you both firsthand before, during, and after Build Body Fitness, right? So I know that what you guys portray online is exactly who you are.
Yeah.
The second piece that you touched about, I love that you guys give people the answers to the test, because that's true, not just for the clients that you have, but also for your team, right? So I know you guys got a couple of coaches as well that you brought onto the team. So I'm sure that's the way that you approach the staff as well, as giving them the roadmap so that they're able to give others the roadmap and give them the answers to the test. So
exactly.
That's pretty special. What are you focusing on a day-to-day?
Depending on which day it is, we got classes pretty early. So the earliest class is at 5:20. So we normally got to be there at least 10 minutes early, drive there and get ready. So I'm normally up around like 4:30. That's throughout the week. And then we start off with a couple classes and a couple of one-on-one sessions afterwards. So normally around, like, I would say maybe like 10 o'clock, 5:30 to 10 o'clock, 5:20 to 10 o'clock is normally just the gym, and then just classes and one-on-one sessions.
Okay. Are you leading all of those classes, or is it a combination of you and other coaches? How does that kind of look?
Yeah, it's a combination. As for right now, it's mostly me and Tiari, because our other two coaches, they also have other jobs as well.
Okay.
So one of them's a teacher, and then that obviously means that she can't do the morning classes. And then the other one, she does more of her evening classes.
Okay.
So by 10 o'clock, normally we're a little bit more free, more flexible with our schedule. But at that point, we're still already at the gym, and we're already in that like clear mindset that we're able to focus on everything that has to get done for the gym. So we've always got like a long laundry list of things that we have to do. It's never 100% complete.
Yeah.
There's always a long list that we can do, or, things that we can get a start on.
Yeah.
And then we have evening classes as well. So normally around 5 o'clock is when we start our sessions for the night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in that break, we normally focus on either, the office work, changing up the gym, cleaning the gym, making improvements, and then just outreach to any potential clients.
Yeah, running the actual business, or how I'm actually just doing it, right?
Which honestly, I think is like the hardest part. Yeah, depending on, I know you're reading this book.
Yeah,
depending on how you are, like, mentally and how you're wired, it might come easier for some people. Like reaching out to people, having conversation with them, trying to pull them into the gym.
Yeah,
trying to sell them and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. What do you think through? I'm sure the outreach, because that's one of the things that you mentioned was tough when you guys first opened the gym, right?
Yeah.
Was feeling like, how are we going to fill out the space, right? What do you think is different about when you guys first started the outreach up to now? What have you learned through outreach, through selling, through marketing that has really allowed you to do that at a faster rate, get more people in there faster?
Just systems, man.
Yeah.
Systems. We don't have this down 100%. We didn't nail it yet. But honestly, having a system, having a schedule, knowing exactly what you have to do and when it has to be done by is huge. That's the biggest thing. And then on top of that, previously we used to work only word of mouth. And then if you kind of drove by the gym, then you would, get people in like that, like some foot traffic.
Yeah.
But we're actually working with Alex Hormozzi's group, Gym Launch.
Oh, wow.
So they do ads for us as well.
Okay.
So a lot of ads come on, day-to-day basis, which also adds to our, no pun intended, but it also adds to our laundry list of things to do, our outreach and our lean nurture.
Okay.
So
how important, and I ask this because I think it's so important for anyone who's in sales, marketing, advertising, or an entrepreneur, whatever you do. I think it's so important to be aware about this, but how important would you say it is to have speed to response on those inbound leads?
It's huge, man.
Yeah.
It's everything. People are anxious to get in the gym, right? Whether it might be like a ad that they saw or like a commercial, they saw some inspiration for someone else. Like, hey, I want to check this gym out. So at that point, it's like their peak interest. So if you wait a day, if you wait 2 days, then they're just kind of going to go down, just like anything else in life. You don't really stay focused on something for like a whole week. So you have to catch them when they're at that peak interest, and that's when they'll most likely get into the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe they're reaching out to a couple of gyms, right?
Exactly.
So that speed to response might be what separates them from the rest as well.
Right.
So I want to talk about your content a little bit.
Right.
And this goes back to some of your humor and it's one of the things that I love about you. It goes back to the authenticity, which we just talked about a little bit, but there was a post that I remember where you were talking about recovery and how important recovery is, right? And you were laying on the bench, you had a blanket, you had a nightstand, you had your little clock on there. It was just the funniest thing, and you were just sleeping. And in your post, you're talking about recovery while you're literally sleeping on a bench in a gym or a squat rack. So talk to me about that a little bit. What are some of the ways that you think about creating awareness for Built Body Fitness, and in 2024, how do you want to scale that at a higher level? How do you want to continue to push that level of marketing?
I definitely want to do like a week to week, even day to day basis, posting videos like that. You said yourself, this was 2 years ago that I posted this. So if that stuck with you to this day, then that type of content, it obviously sticks with a lot more people. Based on the person, it'll stick more than other posts. So that's kind of what we gotta stick with. We have to do different types of content. We can't just post out, educational videos, because eventually we're gonna lose people.
Right.
We gotta switch it up with educational. You gotta switch it up with comedy, and then maybe like some photos, or switch it up, just keep people entertained.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, you lose their interest, then it's impossible to get them back up to where they initially were.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to keep up with those posts. You might see a little more consistency, like funny posts from us. We got some ideas coming. So
yeah, no, it's really again, it goes back to authenticity, but just the entertainment aspect of it as well. Like you said, that was a post that was 2 years ago that I've never forgotten. Like I've randomly thought about that when I think about marketing, and I think it's just so important to have that.
It worked then, man.
Yeah, it worked. Exactly. And Papa David, he's the founder of Valuetainment, but that's how he built his brand online, was Valuetainment, right? So providing value to whoever's watching or listening. So you're teaching about what's important, but the attainment aspect too, providing entertainment so that it doesn't just feel like you're in a classroom.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that it's really important to take that approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the other things that we should look out for, whether from yourself, from Built Body Fitness as a brand? What are some of the things that we should keep just our eyes and ears open for in 2024?
I'd say overall just our growth. Right now is the perfect opportunity for someone that's brand new, or whether maybe you're brand new to fitness or you're, got a couple of years under your belt. It's perfect for everyone. So right now is the best time to get in. We're growing so much that, the whole culture, the whole vibe there is just, it's honestly a lot of fun to be in a class. Like I'd 100% rather work out during a class than work out on my own, have an empty gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say right now is the best time to hop in, but we're looking to expand a lot more. We got some more equipment coming in. We're actually running a 6-week challenge right now. So we are done with our second week right now. So this Monday will be the start of our third week, and everyone's so in tune with it. You should see it. We got a Facebook group. There's about I want to say 80 people in there, just under 80 people.
Mm-hmm.
People are posting up their meals, asking for recommendations on certain items to get, if they're doing cardio. So it's pretty cool. Just the whole entire culture that we built. Everyone's so in tune with it. So I would say just get in as soon as possible, and then just watch the culture blow up and expansion.
Yeah, you guys built a community. When you tell me you have 80 people on a Facebook group, posting photos,
it's awesome,
sharing ideas, asking for ideas, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's motivating, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are starting to see the fruits of all the labor, right? All the culture you guys have created. Through your content, I see that, right? Even just some of the posts, when you guys are firing people up and just seeing them laughing, smiling on a video. I want to say it was New Year's, or was it Thanksgiving, that you guys did a party for everyone and food and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are special things that you guys do, and that's what creates a community, and that's what I love about what you guys are doing. What else? And anything else that's new that people maybe haven't heard about that you guys are working on that might be coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. So we have our app that I mentioned earlier that has our whole programming.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on all of our videos. So it's gonna be personalized videos of us doing the movements. So that's one more big thing on our whole background with weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on form first. That's the most important part. Because if you do something, you start heavy, you have the wrong form, then you're just gonna hurt yourself and set yourself back further than you were initially. So the form is the biggest thing.
I have to be firsthand of that, man. I've years back messing myself up.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Back, right? So I max squatted and then max deadlifted right after, and I messed up my back, so it took a while to recover. So it's important to teach those things.
Yeah, definitely. I hear all the time people deadlifting, people doing a squat, even a bench press, people barbell bench pressing, and they come all the way down. Their elbows are flared out, at like a heavy load, then they can mess up their shoulder, their rotary cuff. So, I mean,
so what would you say is the best way what's the adjustment that you need to make there?
I don't want to bash anything, but I just don't barbell bench at all anymore.
Really?
I used the barbell bench for years, and, you know, thankfully I never hurt myself, but dumbbell is the way to go for me. Dumbbell or machine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And why is that? Is that because of the full range of motion, or what is it that
not only the full range, but if you are, let's say, and you're benching with a barbell, your elbows are stuck out here. If you have dumbbells, then you have the ability to move your elbows in. So if you have your elbows at your side, about a 45-degree angle here, that's more of a natural position for your chest.
Interesting.
So if you think of like, if you want to shove someone, if you're like pissed off at someone, you want to push them on their ass, and you would never push someone like this.
Right.
You know, you want to have get your strength, your control right here, and push them down here.
Yeah.
That's where you're the strongest.
Or if you're out from under somebody, right? Like you're not going to be like, wait a second, sir, like let me push you. You're like, you're going to be probably pushing them off of yourself from down here.
Not only are you stronger, but not only are you safer, but you're going to target your chest more like that as well. So your fibers, they line up more properly if your elbows are in this orientation.
Okay. So, all right, I'm convinced. I'm going to start adjusting some of those barbell bench days. I don't know if I can get away from it altogether at once, but
it's a process, man. It's slowly.
Yeah, slowly. So I'll start to do more of the dumbbell bench instead. But yeah, that's really interesting. It's a great call out. So I'd be crazy not to bring up Tiari, of course, in this conversation. So I want to ask you about your journey a little bit. You guys have been together 10 years now?
Yeah.
Right? 10 years. What is, because you guys are literally the definition of a power couple. I mean, like, you guys are really inspiring.
Thank you, man.
And I think that the relationship that you guys have together is something that the world just needs to learn from right now. And we'd be crazy not to, shed light on it and bring some awareness on it. So what's one thing that you think people get wrong about relationships that last? What's something that they misunderstand?
So people that see other relationships, they only see what is posted online, unless you see it firsthand in person, like an argument, or like if a relationship's not really working out, that's what they see in person. Online, they only see the good side. So every single relationship, they have arguments. They're not going to always agree on the same things. They're going to have different beliefs. Let's work with Terry and myself. We argue all the time. So people think that we're, like you said, I appreciate you saying that we're a power couple. I think that we are too. Like, I love her. She's awesome. She's the most amazing person that I know. But we argue all the time. I don't want to say all the time, but we argue often. We have our fair share of arguments.
Yeah.
Things that we don't agree on, if...
just like anybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she actually shared a reel with me maybe about a year ago, and it really stuck with me. There's two, actually. The first one was never to go to bed upset. That's huge. You never know, like if anything were to ever happen to anyone in the world.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to sleep and then, have this opportunity to amend things.
Yeah.
Second is that we're not only are we a couple, but we're a team, and we work together the best. We're gonna get the most things done. Most things done as long as we work together. So if she's not bringing 100%, then she can mention to me, I'm only 75%. Then I'll pick up that extra 25%. I'll carry 125%. As long as we get everything done, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Right.
So just, the biggest thing would be is we're working as a team. We have our arguments, just like any other couple. We don't always get along for a certain amount of time, but at the end of the day, we're together. We're in it together.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I'm glad that's what you mentioned, because actually just last year, somebody on my team, this young person who had just recently been in a relationship, and I could tell from the outside looking in, this was a relationship that was bound to be a great relationship.
Yeah.
And one of the things they mentioned to me was that, like, they asked me, like, hey, do you and Claudia, like, argue? And I just, like, I laughed so hard because they're younger too, and it was and you know what love is like, right? Like, when you first fall in love with someone, and especially when it's something special, it's scary for the both of you, because it is a risk. Love is a risk. And I think not being in a relationship is a bigger risk, right? And we can talk about that all day, but it is a risk. And so it's scary for people. But I don't think that a lot of people realize from the outside looking in that there are tons of arguments. There are tons of trials and tribulations that go through that. And so I love that you guys just have that awareness for yourself. I love the call out of the percentages, right? Like, here's what I'm able to do. Can you help and make up that other 25%? And I'm sure there's days where it's the other way around, right? Yeah. So is that something that you guys are like, do you have maybe a daily or a weekly one-on-one where you do that? Or is it just as you're going through your day, like, hey, by the way, like I've only got 60% right now? Or what does that look like exactly?
Yeah. Well, you got to take that with a grain of salt. It's us as a team, we both want to carry our load as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So we try to have it more infrequently than frequently. We don't want it to be like a reoccurring thing, you know, like let's say every Monday, you know, one of us is always a little bit down or like a little bit, you know, out of the mood to get work done. So we want to, first off, have 100% ourselves as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And then maybe like once a week, you know, if it's the weekend or like, I don't know, something happens to one of us, and that's when we'll mention it. We don't like to take advantage of that and then, you know, say like I said, like every Monday, you know, I work a little extra and she works a little less or vice versa. We always try to pick up ourselves 100% and then use that when we really need to.
So it sounds like you guys have a lot of accountability too. Like while you use each other and function as a team, at the same time, you both have this responsibility of like, I'm going to show up at my very best regardless, but if I absolutely need a 25% from him or her, I'm going to mention it.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's super important too, because some days you might be like 90%, but that doesn't mean you have to take 10% from the other person. Exactly. Like you can just move at that 90% and still get the job done.
Right.
Yeah. That's very important. So I don't know if you've gotten the chance to watch the podcast yet, but Surrounded by Idiots, it's a book that breaks down the personalities as us as humans into 4 different categories. What I would tell you is a majority of us have 2 colors, right? So I want to give you this book. I want you to look at the traits and just tell me based on, because I think it's really important through self-awareness and the way that you work to be self-aware of that so that you create a team or you create a relationship where you guys, going back to what we were just talking about, make up for your strengths and your weaknesses, right? And I think some of the best teams have some of that good balance, right? So I'm curious, you may or may not know, and it's going to be hard without reading the book, or if you've done one of these assessments, but if you want to take a minute or two to kind of look at some of those traits, I'm curious what you think, what your dominating colors are and what TRA's dominating colors are.
All right. So for me, my ego is not too high. So, I mean, if I could sit here and lie and say that I'm a red. You know, red is the one that's, I could see right here, the first couple are aggressive, ambitious, strong-willed, goal-oriented. It's, that's not me 100%. I would say maybe about like 50% red. I see red over here. It says problem solver and independent, definitely. Goal-oriented, strong-willed. Those are a few attributes for me, but I wouldn't agree with the rest. Like aggressive, I'm not controlling.
So red isn't necessarily what you lead with.
No.
Okay.
I would say maybe that might be like my second color. Reading these, I think I'm more of a green, honestly. So the first thing that I read here is patient, relaxed, self-controlled. That's me. Like I'm super patient, and I could, you know, with kids, you know, I've got patience all day.
And probably with your clients too.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so funny because that was my guess. Because you know what's funny? Pat is green. Angel's green. I had 2 friends who I told you you guys are so similar.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. 100%. I would say I'm mostly green. And it's funny because if we talk about Sari now, she's 100% red. Maybe not 100%, closer to like 90% red. But like that aggressive side, if anyone knows her, that you know that she's aggressive, she's ambitious, she's strong-willed, goal-oriented, problem solver, decisive, not so much, but impatient, controlling with certain things, you know, speed, straightforward. That's definitely a Sari. But I think honestly that's why we work the best. Mm-hmm. So many ways we're completely opposite, and I could say the same thing. We're the exact same person in other ways. I would say a lot of our creativity or things that we have in mind that we want to implement in the gym, or whether that be at home, really similar interests. We are like twins in certain areas, but for the most part, everything else we're complete opposite.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where the craftsmanship shows up, right? Like, so there's one of the things, I wouldn't be surprised. I would read the book because I wouldn't be surprised if you're actually a little bit blue as well. Okay. Because what they say is reds and blues are very similar in the sense that they both want to get the job done, right? The reds are much more focused on the result, The blue is very focused on the task and the creativity in between to get there. Right. And so, yeah, it's very fascinating, but it doesn't surprise me. So that was actually what my guess was. I thought that you would be either green or blue, and then Tiari was red and or yellow, a combination of those, because you guys really do have that balance with each other. I know Tiari to answer your question, so I know what you list of some of the traits. Like, she's definitely a red.
I saw your first video on red, explaining red. I'm like, oh, you're literally like just naming off Tiari right now.
It's so funny.
You might as well say she's Colombian. Like, red is like you're strong-willed, you're Colombian, 26. 100%.
But you bring that, I'm sure, and I could be wrong, but this is what in my mind I pictured. I'm like, you bring that calm and that serenity in her life, that calmness to her fire, that calmness through the storm, that calmness through making decisions, right? That's what I see a lot. So I'm glad that that's actually at least similar to what it is. I'd be curious to see, have you guys talked about it at all? Did she think about what she is? Yeah. Agree she's red?
100%. 100%. I don't think she saw the other two colors, but between red and yellow, she's red for sure.
Yeah, you'll have to, before you leave, take a photo of it and send it to her. Be like, all right, now let's see this. Which two do you think they are? Part of the reason why I wanted to talk about your relationship a little bit, number one, obviously, because you guys have, we'd be crazy to talk about Build Body Fitness without talking about what you guys have done together. But the other piece is so that people can learn so much about what has really worked for you. And now I want to talk about you just individually as a man, right? So, I mean, there's just a lot of tough things that men are going through right now. And I think that we can all attest that if you're a man, like, you look back on your journey often and think about, like, man, I wish I could go back and tell myself this, man, I wish I would have done that way. Not necessarily from regret, but just reflecting and from a positive perspective. So, looking back at younger Chris, maybe late teens, early 20s, what are some of the things that you think about when you think of that Chris, and what would you go back and tell yourself?
Sounds kind of corny, but I would say honestly, just like listen to your heart, and that's huge. Finishing high school, I always thought I was going to be like an accountant, or I don't know, some like white collar job. But honestly, I went to school. I never thought school was for me. I never thought high school was for me. But when I finished high school, I went to community college. I went to Roosevelt, and kind of just like listening to my parents saying like, "Oh, you're really good at math. You're like, accounting would be perfect for you." Nothing wrong with accounting, but it just didn't work for me. I spent years trying to, push in that category or that direction, and I had this gut feeling like in the back of my head that like this is not for me. I don't really care for this. Like, I don't like this. I don't enjoy it at all. But I spent years trying to work on this accounting or finance. But for fitness, I always loved it. I always trained other people, trained friends, went to the gym, seeing people at the gym doing things incorrectly. I would, help them out a little bit with their form, push them a little bit, encourage them. So the best way people always ask, like, how long did you know that you're going to be a gym owner? And honestly, it wasn't my whole life, but the best advice I can give to anyone that has that question is find what you love to do, what you really enjoy. I'm saying like you would do this for free for the rest of your life. Find what you like to do, get really good at it, and then try to find a way of making money doing that specifically.
Try to monetize it.
Right.
So was that, because for me, before I started finding the lane for myself, before I got into sales, before I got into marketing, or not even before, even as there was always different things that I thought, well, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do this. And as I grew older and as I started to be active in different things, I figured out that lane was a lot more narrow than I thought. So was it always just fitness, or was there other things kind of in your gut that you were unsure about whether that would be the lane or not?
I wouldn't say just fitness. Fitness is just the niche. But I always knew that I like talking to people. So before I started training just at the gym, I also bartended for like 8 or 9 years. And bartending was awesome. It was good money. I was really good at it. I was kind of like the top of the list of bartenders there. But honestly, I was so good at it because it was just all natural. I see people come in, I'm like a part-time therapist almost at this point.
Yeah.
People come in weekly, tell me all their problems. I know all about their life. And then all I did was just listen. So that goes kind of back to this, I'm very patient. I listen to people if they've got problems. I'm like, you can talk my ear off if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got way longer fuse. I don't want to bash her all, but sorry.
Hey, don't worry, Tiara. I'm asking you. I'm the same way. I've got a little.
Yeah, she's probably smiling now. She's watching this, she's probably smiling. I always knew that just being around people, being a problem solver, helping people out with their problems, whether it's just me listening to them or just, you know, me guiding them in the gym. I always knew that I wanted to be social, 100%.
Yeah, and it's interesting how both of those things paired together. Right? How, like, you know, working with people was something that you were like, I kind of want to go do that. Working in fitness, I kind of want to go do that. But you were able to find something that brought those things together. Right. And I think that's really special and something that a lot of folks struggle with. But also it comes with patience, right? Like, I think that's a key ingredient that we forget about. I think today everyone is so quick and fast to figure out what they want to do. And I also think, even in a way, entrepreneurship is kind of forced on people too. Like, everyone feels like they have to be an entrepreneur and that's how they're going to find success. And that's partially why I wanted to start this podcast, right? To talk about entrepreneurship as well, because for every entrepreneur that there is, there's also 5, 10, 15, 20 entrepreneurs helping them accomplish that dream and helping them accomplish that vision, right? So I think it's so important to have that self-awareness and understand there's a journey too, right? You don't have to figure this out today. There's a lot that comes with it, and a lot that comes with figuring out what you want to do, what you're good at, and how you can combine those pieces together. Right. So I think that's great advice. So you now, we've been calling her Tiari, but she also goes by fiancé now as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So later this year, you will be a husband. God willing, in the near future, you'll be a father as well. Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges and things that in your gut you're concerned about? What are some of the things that and I know you've got a lot of confidence, so I know you're not necessarily scared that it won't work. I know that you're very confident that it will, and so am I. But what are some of those things that you're a little bit maybe nervous about because you care, right? Because you want it to go so well. What are some of those things that go through your mind?
So as for getting married, I'm more excited than anything. Like, I'm not nervous at all. I'm not scared. I'm saying that now, but it's in, you know, we got 10 months. Yeah. I'm just more excited for more, I won't say anxious, but I'm looking forward to marriage. Mm-hmm. As for kids, we do want kids, 100%, not a doubt in our mind.
Amen.
But the thing that scares us the most with that is just juggling everything, you know, and just, you know, we've got our dog that we love. We take great care of him. He's 10 years old now, but, you know, having a baby is like a whole another thing. Us juggling the gym, our babies, and then also, you know, our relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't want that relationship aspect to fade, because a lot of times with marriage, if you have kids, then that's like a new center point, you know, as it should be. But those couples, they don't make that time available for themselves, mm-hmm. which is, I think, one of the biggest reasons why some of these relationships don't last as long. Mm-hmm. But that's probably the biggest thing. Just, there's only 24 hours in a day, man. If there was, you know, at least one more hour a day, then I think that'd be huge. You know, that'd be exactly what we needed. So back to systems, I think that just figuring out, you know, a routine for everything, you know, taking care of the kids, waking them up, taking them to school, feeding them, on top of the gym business is what we have to focus on the most. And not be a lot. It's gives me a little knot in my stomach, you know, because we're trying to figure out right now, as is, you know, adding a kid or multiple kids, then it's a lot of work, but yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll be sending positive vibes and prayers up for you guys, and I know you guys will make it work. But I smiled when you said systems, because I was like, that's exactly what was on my mind. It was like, yeah, well, you guys did a great job at creating systems for the business. I think life works really similarly, right? Yeah. And that's why I think being an entrepreneur, being an intrapreneur is so important in this world, because you really do become a leader, and leading a family is the same way, and building a family and bringing a new life into this world is the most important thing that you can do, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And so I know that you guys will do a great job when the time comes. So I'm excited for you guys. Excited to celebrate with you in Colombia later this year.
It's coming up. It's gonna fly by.
Yeah, it's gonna be an amazing time. I'm saving up my PTO right now. I'm like, I'm gonna make a trip out of that. And also, so for those of you who don't know, I'm Colombian, so I have family in Colombia. My dad actually lives there right now. So This is going to be the first time that I'm going back to Colombia since I was 15 years old.
No way.
And I'm so excited that I get to do it, going back to Colombia to celebrate that. So
that's awesome.
Thank you for giving me a reason to go.
Absolutely, man. What part of Colombia?
So my dad is from Cartagena and my mom is from Cali, but I always wanted to go to Medellin.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited that I get to go there.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it there, man.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite cities in the world.
Yeah.
Love it. The culture is amazing, man. I guarantee you, when you go there, you're gonna come back a different person.
I've back. I always say too, like, there's two places in the world that give me this bizarre feeling that I can't get anywhere else. One of them is Colombia, the first. The second one is Miami. And I think it goes back to like culture, like just being around culture that's so similar to mine. It gives me this, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's almost like a peace of mind. And so it's a feeling that I haven't had in a long time, aside from getting teased of it a little bit when I'm in Miami, because there's a lot of people from my culture there.
Right.
So that's part of the reason why I'm really excited to go back. And then of course the number one reason to celebrate you guys. So it's going to be an awesome celebration. We're going to make sure that it's a week who we all never forget, but especially you guys.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, this has been great, man. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Anything else that we want to promote? Anything else that we should look out for from yourself or Build Body Fitness in 2024?
If you guys are looking to get in the gym, shed some extra pounds, or if you already have a couple of years of experience under your belt, it's never too late to hit us up at Build Body Fitness, try out a free class on us, and then just see what all the magic's about.
A free class on you guys. That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, congrats, man. Congrats on all the success. I'm really excited to see what you guys are able to do this year. And again, in November, cap off the year celebrating you guys. So it's going to be an awesome year.
Appreciate it, man.